Okay, welcome to this week. Well, this 2 week, 3 week, 4 week Chen chat. It's
Eight.
probably been 8 weeks, might be 8 weeks. 13th, it's the 13th of April 2025 today. So Sunday night, basically, and we thought, right, we've got some time, let's get sat down and we can have a quick chat and we can get Chen to come in, do his normal conversation, which would be quite cool. He's got a whole list of questions. So we're kind of past 5 now to 9, I think, isn't it?
Yes, I think, yeah, it is
9
9, I think.
questions. The idea was it was supposed to be 5, but we seem to have crept up given the gap. Obviously, Chen will be happy.
Chen doesn't mind.
He
Yeah.
likes talking for hours, so that's all good. Okay, so welcome to this week's Q&A with Chen. And with that, I'll hand over and you can take over and try and keep him in some type of timeline.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, thanks. I'll catch you later. Good day, my dear.
Hello, Chen. Again.
Yes, we seem to have had an intermission.
We do, but you have been doing other things.
We have been very
Haven't you?
busy, yes.
Yes, and you have your own spot on a Monday as well now, don't you, on a Monday afternoon?
Yes. Yes, I can't complain.
No.
My message is going out to the right people.
Yes.
And of course, this is the whole agenda from our perspective, from a spiritual perspective, is obviously trying to share information in any way that we can to a receptive audience. And the more often and the more ways we can do that, of course, then the better from our perspective. And of course, there is a big appetite for spiritual information, especially information that's being shared from spirit in this particular way.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Which, of course, I'm quite aware, my dear, that this is quite unique to a certain degree. Lots of people channel lots of energies and entities, and I'm very fortunate to be able to converse with you too.
Yeah.
And obviously, Andrew.
Likewise.
Yes.
Likewise, we're very fortunate.
Yes, you are very fortunate.
And your audience.
Yes, and the audience love me, of course.
They do. Yes, you're right.
Yes, and I love those people that listen to me too.
I know.
And of course, this is the whole point of this type of work, is that we convey information in a way that is delivered into people's apparatus, whether that be their phones or their computers or their tablets or the other myriad of gadgets that people now use to consume information.
Yes, well, thanks. It's good for you, isn't it?
Yes, it's very good for me.
Technology's moved on to such an extent because you can get your word out there so much more easily.
Yes, and this is the whole point. There's lots of change going on the planet. There's lots of negative things, but there's also lots of positive things. And we like to make sure that we help to teach and educate from a spiritual perspective for those that are open to the conversation.
Yeah.
And of course, many people are open to this type of unique method of delivery of information from a spiritual perspective, and other people may not be. And of course, that's fine too.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I think the dog's caught my eye.
That's okay.
Nobody doesn't stop barking.
I'm sure the young man may come and sniff me at some point, although he does tend to stay away, I've noticed.
Yeah, he knows. Because as soon as Andy comes back, he's on his lap and just behaving normally, but he does try and avoid you a bit, doesn't he?
Yes, he's not so keen.
No.
Well, of course, he's very uniquely
Perceptive.
aware and perceptive,
Yes.
and realizes that the energy changes.
Yeah.
And of course, when I come in and take over from Andrew's spiritual aspect, then the energy in the whole room changes.
Of course, and he doesn't recognize your energy, does he? So
no,
that's all quite confusing.
I'm not his owner. I'm not his human person, as you say these
No,
days.
that's right. Yes, my human. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the dogs are in control, I think.
Oh, I think you might be right. I think it's probably our fault.
Yes, I think you have to blame the owners.
I think we spoiled him. Yeah, it's a problem, isn't it? The smaller they are, the cuter they are, the more you treat them like babies, really.
Of course, and the faster they take control.
Yes, I think this one thinks he is.
Well, of course, they're part of the pack as far as they're concerned, and it's just a deliberate choice as to whether you're underneath them or above them in the pack. And if the young man decides he's at the top of the pack, then obviously that's where he'd like to place himself.
Yeah. I think in his little head, I think he is the top of the pack. So we've got to try and change that somewhat.
Yes, good luck.
Thank you. Going back to your spot on a Monday, for those who would like to hear Chen talking, and send in any questions, we're open to. I think this week we're going to try and go down the how to not develop your children spiritually, but how to protect your children spiritually. And you were going to give a little few little tips and
Yes.
advice, weren't you?
Yes, well, the children
to-
are the future. And of
Yes.
course, for spiritually inclined people that understand the spiritual concepts and energy, like our audience and of course yourselves, then the children from those families obviously will get targeted by the negative aspect.
Yeah.
And therefore, they do need to learn to be protected. They do need to think about children's protection because, of course, children are the future.
Yes, yes. So 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, London, UK time, of course. Chen comes in, delivers his lovely messages for not long, is it? Sort of half an hour or so, something like that. So if you're free and available, you'd like to watch, tune in. So it runs live on Chen's Facebook page.
Yes, I like having my Facebook page.
I know you do.
Yes, it feels like I'm quite unique, really, again.
Oh, you're unique?
Yes, I don't know too many other spiritual entities that I'm involved with that have their own social media pages. Generally, their social media pages are amalgamated into the people, like obviously Andrew Surgeon page,
Yes.
which was part of our page together. But
Yes.
of course, now effectively that's more your page, and then I have my own page.
You have your own
which is nice.
page.
Yes.
With your own ideas as well.
Yes, and I can deliver my own messaging.
Yes, you can. Yes, we work hard on putting nice pictures with the messages you want.
Yes, you're becoming quite adept, my dear.
I'm trying.
I have been watching your use of some of these new tools to create pictures.
My frustration or my
Well, there is a level of frustration too, of course, but you must see things through to the end. And the only way you learn to become good at something is by being not very good at it to start with. So it's the perception of continuation that makes that evolves the choice and makes you become more ascended in what you do.
Yeah.
So
I'm enjoying it.
everyone's going to struggle to start with. Yeah, so it's good. And of course, obviously, I give you the nod when I like the pictures.
Yes.
As you may have noticed.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, I know. Okay, well, we have got quite a few questions, you'll be pleased to know.
Yes, good.
So, the first one is from Liam Mearns. So I don't know much about this, but you'll be able to explain all. So, blessings to Andy, Jane, and Chen. The telepathic tapes have come to light, and their findings reveal that non-verbal children and adults possess telepathic abilities. They exhibit numerous spiritual gifts, including the ability to communicate with deceased individuals in spirit and to read language and hieroglyphics, despite never having been exposed to those forms of communication. It's very interesting, isn't it? So what is Chen's team in spirit seeing as possible outcomes from these findings, and why now? Thank you for your support and loving guidance.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. So from my perspective, I'm not actually familiar with the particular tapes that he talks about. Okay. Obviously, tapes is an old terminology from today's use of technology to do things, but obviously every human being walking the planet is telepathic, as we've talked about before. All humans come in with the ability to use telepathy. It generally gets turned off as part of the programming and the schooling system, and of course other cultural and social and religious doctrines. So everyone is telepathic. Everyone can speak telepathically to other spiritual entities such as myself, or of course to each other. So if we think about children that may have been mute in the past, they may have had illnesses and diseases that made them mute, they would still be able to communicate mind to mind with the mother, obviously, because they're energetically connected, as all children are always connected to the mother, because of course they grow inside of the mother. So they have a very unique energetic connection, and obviously use telepathy to do that. In terms of reading different types of language like hieroglyphs, those sorts of things, again, all of you are here having had many past lives. And of course, there are some unique energies being born onto the planet these days that are coming from other timelines like Lemuria and Atlantis. And in those timelines, telepathy and symbology was the method of communication more than conventional speak in the way that you verbally speak.
Yes.
So lots of energies now coming in, being born into human bodies that are very advanced. And the method of communication that we're using to talk to each other is an older method, really. Symbology is a much more powerful method, and that's what's used across other planetary star systems generally, and of course telepathy. With telepathy, you can send symbology too. So you can have a
Yes,
conversation
it's
mind to
thought, isn't
mind.
it? It's
Yes.
something thought.
But of course, symbols, as we know, speak 1,000 words. So one image can mean so much more than you can actually write or
Then one
verbalize.
word could, yes. Yeah.
So hopefully that answers that question.
It's interesting. Thank you very much, Liam, for sending that in. Sarah Barfield. Dear Chen, Andy and Jane, thank you for giving your time to do the Chen chats. As you know, I love them. I have a question about what happens once we leave Earth and go home. As we live many lives in different places, do we take on a personality of the person or being we last were when we were incarnated? Or do we become someone different? Or are we the sum of all our lives? Do we all go to the same place or do we go to different places? This is lots of questions.
Yeah, it's good.
And are there still personalities in spirit? And if so, does that mean souls still have disagreements or egos, or does everyone get on in harmony?
Yes, lots of questions.
Thank you, Sarah.
So if you can watch as I try to answer them one by one, effectively. So the first question is, of course, when you depart, you leave your physical body, your carbon-based life form is generally either buried or cremated, generally the two methods to dispose of the physical body. Of course, that releases the spirit effectively. So most people, let's assume most people move back to their spiritual vibratory frequency. So I exist as Chen in a vibratory frequency that you know as spirit or the light, or you could call it home, or people call it heaven. Different terminology, different cultures call it different things. But essentially, it's a vibratory frequency, and lots of spirits exist in that frequency. So in that frequency, you can effectively choose the personality you wish to be. So in this life, you're obviously Jane, and in this life, Sarah is called Sarah. But when Sarah or Jane pass, then you obviously move back to that spiritual vibration. But of course, energetically, you come from a collective soul group, a group of souls or spirits that you've been. And I think I've discussed this before with the concept of an orange and segments.
Yes.
The orange, the whole
Yes.
orange is the soul, effectively. And the segments, each segment is a lifetime. So segment 1 is Jane, and segment 2 could be Fred.
Yeah.
So obviously your energy is comprised of Fred and Jane. So you could choose to take on any of your past lives effectively in terms of the personality. So I'm choosing to address you all today as the energy Chen, which I had in a past life. I've obviously been many other things too, of course, as you're well aware. But I choose to be Chen, and I choose to talk to you with the personality that carries forward as Chen.
Yes.
So this is your choice. And this, most mediums will know when they speak to spirit. If we speak to your father, who comes through at times, Andrew tells you he's in the room, he can tell the vibration changes, he speaks to your father and conveys information that you know to be your father, because it's the same personality. So your father chooses to provide the same personality, to provide authenticity
to me,
to the medium, and to yourself, of course. Yes. But of course, he's got other or had other incarnations, so he could be other things, but you wouldn't know him as those things. So for you to be to understand this is your father's energy coming through from spirit, he has to provide the same personality that he had to the medium.
That's interesting.
So the medium can pick up on the frequency and the verbalization, because you all use different words. If Andrew suddenly started to speak very elegantly, like myself, you would know it probably wasn't him.
Maybe, yes. So our spiritual energy, when we arrive home, the actual essence of our energy, would that change considering the lifestyles, the lifetime of choices, etc., that we've actually those choices that we've made in our lifetime, would that change our spiritual essence?
Not necessarily.
No. Okay.
So you can be the same personality in spirit. So if you think of spirit again as this different frequency of vibration, lots of effectively personalities, but with no physical body, they're still able to converse and talk. So your father obviously meets his parents and his grandparents. He would speak to them. He would convey the life that he had, the things that he did. So the same family meetings and ancestral conversations happen in spirit. The same as when you have a family barbecue, my dear, all of your family come in physically, you sit around a table, you laugh and joke, and you talk to each other. The same thing's happening in spirit, just without the body. Because, of course, the core conscious energy doesn't need the body. So it
No,
would be the
no.
same.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that. Thank you, Sarah, for sending in your question. Alexandra, I'm really sorry, Alexandra. I can't pronounce your surname. I think it's Hurinku. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. Thank you in advance for considering my question. Are you able to please provide clarity on the concept of old medicine? What does it mean when a soul is an old medicine soul?
Yes, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So again, different terminology means different things to different people. So if we think about the time gone by or time in the past, today, medicine and science is revolving around the current understandings. And of course, pharmaceutical drugs and chemicals are used to make pharmaceutical drugs and
Yep.
such like, which everyone's very aware of. You know that if you go to your doctor, you get a tablet that's generally white in colour. You've got no idea what's in it, but you take it because that's the pharmacological composition of whatever you're being given for the particular problem you need.
Yeah.
But in the old world, the old remedies, of course, everything was more plant-based because plants
Yes.
were readily available. Chemistry hadn't advanced to levels that it has today. So everything was coming from teachings that come from people in the past. So if you look at shamans and Indian medicine people, those sorts of lines of people, everything was passed that down from parent to child, from grandparent to parent, etc. So if you needed to, if you had a headache or something before the current headache tablets were around, you know that you could chew on a particular type of herbal substance, a particular plant or something, and that would then release toxins into your blood, which would actually provide you with the remedy.
Do you know what that was?
All sorts of things might do.
Okay.
Obviously, nettles were used a lot. And you
Yes.
know, obviously the cannabis plant that we
We,
talk of
yes.
comes up
Ah,
often in
that's why you smoked
conversation.
nettles.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Yes.
medicinal.
And we drink, obviously, the juice from nettles too, very detoxifying and cleansing for the kidneys and such
Yes.
like.
Oh,
But all around the world, there are all these plants and barks of trees and such like. And of course, if you look at Chinese medicine, as most of you will be aware, if you ever walk into a Chinese medicine
yeah.
shop, all you see is big plastic containers full to the
Yes.
brim of plants and dried substances and
Yes.
mushrooms and barks, and they're
Yes.
put into a pan and boiled. And you know yourself, my
Yes,
dear,
I
they
do.
don't taste particularly good,
No,
but they
no,
are
the things that
very
are good for
powerful.
you probably don't taste very good, do they?
No.
Oh, I had to, I don't know how I got that down, but it did work.
Yes, it works. It works very well. And of
Yes.
course, people in the eastern side of the planet, the Eastern Bloc, use these methods because they're very cheap. You can
Yeah.
walk into the
Yeah.
woods with a knife, you can take some
Gather it.
bark, and you can gather some things that cost you near enough zero cost,
Yes.
and then put that in a pan of boiling water, boil it down for a certain length of time, and then you have the stock of things that can be used. Because of course, the human body is quite simple, really, to cleanse and heal if you
Mm.
give it the right things. And everything starts with the blood, as we have said before. Cleansing your blood and removing toxins and viruses and pathogens from the blood is the key to human health.
Mm.
But of course, people don't really drink things these days that clear and detoxify the blood.
Well, if you were to smell it before you tried to drink it, you probably understand why.
Well, this is the problem, of course. But of course, taste has changed. In
Yeah.
the past, in my
Yeah.
day, back into the 1600s, there was no sugar. Sugar was
Mm.
not a thing, so everything tasted very bitter.
Yeah.
But that was your yardstick. That's how things should
Of
be.
course, yes, you had nothing to compare it to, did you?
Yes.
Because there was nothing that might have tasted nicer.
No. And nowadays, everything has to taste salty or sugary for people to ingest it.
Mm.
And anything that doesn't have that flavour or taste is rejected generally.
Mm.
But of course, sugars and salts are two of the biggest problems for the human nutritional deficiency.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And
Yes.
Alexandra, I hope that answered your question. Uh, Rhonda Cooper. Chen, I've been shown this matrix is just the beginning. 7 more layers of matrix exist beyond it, corresponding to the 7 chakras, 7 heavens, and 7 notes of a scale. Is this true?
It's an interesting concept.
Mm.
I think the way the word true may be slightly subjective,
Okay.
because of course everyone has a different truth. So depending upon your upbringing and your understanding of things would depend upon what you consider to be true. But obviously, the young lady is quite correct in that the seven is a big thing from a spiritual perspective, and obviously the seven chakras align to energy centers in the human body, and they connect to the astronomical aspects as well as lots of other integrated parts of the planetary condition, so to speak. So whether it's true in the way that the young lady's asking, I'm probably not really able to answer. I don't really understand what she means exactly. But obviously from a number 7 perspective and the energy centers of the human being, then of course this does actually revolve and dictate and collect into the planetary aspects of the spiritual parts of what makes you, and obviously what makes you able to exist in this confined frequency.
Okay, thank you. So there is something in the number 7.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Numerology is very interesting.
Yes, it is actually,
Yes.
because we'd sort of like 3 really is our
Yes.
you know,
3 is a
our
very powerful number.
I'm always adding things.
Yes.
Well, see if they come back to 3. Yes.
Well, people talk about angel numbers, the ones and such like. If you see 3 ones, it seems to be a spiritual number.
Yes.
And the more you start to look out for these things, you look at the clock and you notice that the numbers are lined up.
Yeah.
So 333 and 330.
That's 222 or
Yes, it becomes quite a good hobby.
Yeah. I know. It becomes a bit obsessive actually. Oh, okay. Thank you, Rhonda, for sending in your question. Jess Ware. She's saying, thanks, Bud, from the Burnt Rice Ball Kids Mama.
I know of who she speaks.
Yes. Okay. What is the key to releasing or identifying financial blocks so I could manifest more stability into my life?
Yes, probably everyone has this very question, I would imagine. So the first thing, of course, is that with the human energy centers and the way that you exist and live on this planet, everything is a frequency of vibration. So your thought process is magnetic. The things that you think, the things that you connect to. So people that live in poverty and don't have much money, lack of abundance, are worrying about money every day. And of course, this continues the cycle. People that don't worry about money obviously can manifest more money. But of course, the key is you have to be doing something to make money. So you can't just sit around in the garden and just work on the assumption that you'd like to manifest a huge amount of abundance, but you don't actually do anything to create abundance.
Yes.
So you have to have a job, or you have to be selling something. You have to find a skill set that you have that other people are interested in. And then, of course, it's working how to manifest the delivery of that skill set. So you might be, whatever you are, whatever you're interested in, you might do a very musical. I've seen you playing.
Thank you.
I've heard you playing, in fact.
Have you?
Yes, very good.
Thank
So
you.
you could write a course. You could teach people to play music. You could create music and sell music. So if I said to you today, for you to create abundance yourself with your musical talents, you may sit back and think, how would I do that? And we would have to say, well, let's look at what you could do. You can teach, you can play, you can record. There are different ways you can do things. And when you start to do those things and focus on them, then of course you broadcast out to the universal energies that this is who I am, this is what I wish to do. And then of course, if you can hold that vibration and expect the abundance to come to you, you magnetize it into you. But of course, you have to have a delivery platform. You have to have a website or some mechanism for people to buy things from you. So you can't just sit around one day with your hands together looking to manifest finance. You have to be able to do something for it.
Yes.
And this is where people, I think, probably go wrong, because they find themselves in situations that they may be at home with children, they may have time constraints or physical constraints, but they obviously have financial constraints too. But unless they can find some way to do things, then of course you've got a blockage effectively. So you have to look at your life and think, where's the blockage? What's stopping me doing things? I could write a children's book, I could do this, or I could do that. You have to do something. And when you start to put your time into the doing of that thing, then the guides that are with you, I listen to you and Andrew, I hear you have these conversations, my dear. I smile and think they were my ideas, actually, quite often. But of course, you resonate with them and you take them and you talk about it and you say, this is what we will do. We will do.
Give people the impression it was our idea.
It's your idea because it came to you, but it was probably the source of the idea was probably mine. Some of the time, not
you're
all
putting
the
it
time.
in our mind.
Yes, I'm telepathically giving you, and
The
this is what's
idea,
happening. with everyone. So obviously with this young lady, obviously the same thing. Her guides will be putting thoughts in her mind to say, start this or try that.
Yes.
But you have to take that objective thought and then translate that into something that's tangible.
So you have to listen. You have to listen, Jess.
Or
Or
meditation.
perhaps your child will pick up on something.
Yes, you'll go into meditation. Maybe you could create rice balls and you put them on top of people's heads.
There we are.
Sell the rice ball.
There we
Yes.
are. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jess, for the question. Nikki Brown says, hi, Chen, Jane and Andy. My question is, if entities can dement someone enough to take their own life, what happens to the entity when the person passes over? I think we've sort of covered this recently, haven't we? But just in case they didn't see it, I think it's, does the entity go with the person? If so, what would the entity get out of the person if they're no longer living? Or would the entity move on to dement another living human?
Yes, it's a very good question. So we do talk a lot about entities, and obviously entities are other species of energies that exist in the space that you call your planet effectively. And of course, they're in a different vibratory frequency, so most people don't see them. Obviously, Andrew can see them, as you know, and he will point them out at times. He converse with them, and we can talk to them, and we can do things. So when an entity connects to someone in a very negative way, and that entity takes them to a point of self-harm or suicide, then of course the point of suicide, when that human person is in so much fear, their adrenaline is in their blood, they're at the lowest point of their life, but that level of fear effectively is assimilated by that entity. And there's different things they can do with that energy. They can obviously assimilate it into themselves in the way that you would drink milk from a cow, or they can, like you bottle milk from a cow and you sell that to someone else. So they can do the same thing. They can take the assimilated energy of the person that's just committed suicide, all of that adrenaline and fear, and that can be sold effectively on almost like an energetic marketplace.
Wow.
Obviously from a negative perspective, of course. Positive entities like myself aren't going to be buying that type of frequency of vibration, but of course lower vibrating frequency entities would be potentially, but that entity won't probably follow that person through, because once they've physically died and passed, then what they can do is they can control the spirit, so they can actually effectively imprison the spirit into their space and frequency. And this is what we see quite often with people that are schizophrenic. An entity will connect to that person that's schizophrenic. It will then bind other spirits to that person. So that person is now hearing multiple voices. And as they're hearing multiple voices, it drives them mad, of course, because they're hearing more than one voice. And these negative entities obviously control those spirits of people that haven't passed over in the right way. But they don't generally follow the person through. They would generally go on to another person.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that was a big part of the question, isn't it? Whether they go with them or...
No.
Oh,
so they may track the spirit, but they don't go with the spirit.
No, right. Okay, thank you. Well, that's great. And Nikki also said, thank you for giving us all the opportunity to ask questions. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Nikki. Layla Winsheik, I'm wondering if household items, it can go missing through portals in the house.
Yes. So of course, everything is a frequency of vibration. So a pen or a photograph or something in your house has to be vibrating at a certain frequency to be that thing. Everything vibrates at a different frequency. So of course, spiritual energies can open portals in places, move things into the portal, and then they disappear from your space. And then, of course, they can bring them back if they wish to. And quite often, obviously, as you know yourself, my dear, your spiritual ancestors and your parents that have passed will do these things and knock their picture over so that you notice that the picture of them is now flat on the floor. This happens quite often, quite a common thing to do. Remember me. Obviously, other spirit come back. You remember young Andrew's mother came back not so long ago.
She did, yes.
And invited to say, I expect you to light a candle on the anniversary of my passing.
Yes.
And she wanted to make sure that young Andrew spoke to his brother, because, of course, both would have forgotten, because they're men and they don't remember these things.
No, that's right. Yes. It'd be, yes, I think I'm Andy's calendar, really.
Yes, of course. This is the way things tend to work for most people. But yes, of course. Portals can be opened in different places and things can move in and out of portals, as can energies and entities move through portals and back through portals.
Yes.
And you see this with people that have dementia and some of these types of illnesses that energetically they become very compromised and other things can move into their space. So they're very easy to possess from a spiritual perspective. And any care workers listening will nod their heads and smile and think, yes, we look into the eyes of someone that has dementia, and quite often they go black in colour and they normally see or speak to a different spiritual energy that can be in there.
Oh, it's interesting. I remember my dad, not last time I saw him, but the maybe the time before that, he just literally glazed over, really. He just sort of he just wasn't even there. It was very disconcerting.
Yes, of course the spirit's receding from the physical body because it's preparing for death.
Yeah.
So for some people, the spirit stays in the body completely until the end, and then it's like a switch that's flipped. For other people, their spirit is slowly sliding away and backing away energetically from the physical body because they're moving and transitioning into death. And then, of course, if you're looking and speaking to those people, you'll see that there's only part of the conscious awareness left, really, that you're dealing with.
That's the word I was going to use, actually, awareness. That is what it's like, really. They just lose, or dementia just takes the awareness away, doesn't it?
Yes.
But
I mean, when we say dementia's a name, but effectively, obviously, the body is effectively the spiritual aspect is leaving the body. It's just different ways to do things.
Yes.
But of course, it can be quite trying for family and people close and care workers because, of course, what they get to observe isn't particularly tasteful.
No, not very pleasant.
No.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, I know this might be a slightly touchy topic, of course.
No, I'm fine. And I'm sorry for anybody else that's lost loved ones. It's a tricky time, isn't it? But we tiptoe through.
Well, we have to, my dear, because as soon as you're born into this life, you have to leave, I'm afraid. So everyone has to die and go through the death and the transitory process. And it should be seen as a good thing because it's the end of your life, this life. And when people get to the end of their life, they've been through unique experiences that has been accumulated and amalgamated into the soul aspect of their energy. And this should be a jubilant thing, not a negative thing.
Yes, I know. We covered, didn't we, death? Not last week, the week before. We did about a week on it, and you explained that then. It was very a lovely way of looking at it, actually. A lovely way of looking at it.
That's the way it should be looked at.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a negative thing. It shouldn't be a fearful thing. If people understood that when they transition back to spirit, they have a whole family, their ancestors, there's a party waiting for you. You wouldn't be fearful. You'd be racing to get over there and think, let's get through. Let's see my parents. Let's see my grandparents. Let's meet my extended family. It should be a wonderful thing.
I remember actually as well when Andy's mum, Brenda, she was passing. It was that time, and Andy said to me, "I've asked Chen because it was unpleasant for us. I've asked Chen if he can hurry this along because this is terrible." And you explained, didn't you? Chen explained to Andy that it was the most important time of Brenda's life, that time. So he wasn't going to, sort of hurry things along because that would be for us. But for her, it was the most important time of her life, her passing.
Yes, it's the last experiences that a person goes through in that particular lifetime.
Yes.
So those last few days or those last few hours that someone is experiencing, this is the end of their physical life. And after that, they have no physical body. So you can imagine it's a momentous period.
Yes.
And if we were to come in and say, let's just whip you through quickly, come with me.
Yeah.
She would be very, very annoyed with me as a spiritual entity that would have extended or quickened the death process. And means that she wouldn't have had the opportunity to live those last few moments.
Yes, which were the most important of her life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we didn't realise, obviously, but
that's why you have me, my dear.
Yes, all seeing, all knowing. Thank you, Chen.
Everything, of course. But I have an opinion on most things.
Yes, that's good. That's how we can form ours as well, isn't it? On things we don't know.
Yes.
Layla, I'm sorry we went off piste a little there, but thank you for your question. Catherine Miller, what can we do, if anything, for someone who is deeply grieving? We covered this a little as well, didn't we, last week? But A parent grieving the loss of their child in a very dark place, and they keep visiting the gravesite and bringing things home.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
sorry.
very difficult
Yes.
place to be. I mean, any parent, especially a mother, of course, that's given birth to a child, is, as we said, energetically connected to that child
Yeah.
through their whole life. And of course, not so much for males, but obviously the same concept. So any parent that's lost a child, it's a deeply difficult period of their life. But again, what it tends to come back to is the understanding. As we just said, my dear, if your cultural and religious and social understanding was correct, then you would know that they've moved back to a spiritual place to be with their family, their ancestors, and such like. They can still come back, and you still have the opportunity to connect if you use people that are mediums and such like. So it doesn't have to be so final in the end. It should just, I mean, people are taken, of course, an accident. Someone goes off to work one day or goes off to school and they're run down by a car. So there is, what most people grieve is the fact they never got to say goodbye. That's the difficult part, really. If you knew someone was about to die and you waved them out the door, you'd say, "Oh, you're about to get knocked over today, so goodbye. I love you. We've had a wonderful time, and obviously we'll see each other in the next life." So it could be a very different conversation, of course. But it's the final part, really. But it doesn't have to be final because, of course, you are all spiritual entities, and you all will see each other again. You will converse again. You will speak to the children. And if you've got children that have passed, they will be checking in on you. They will come back and watch. And you know what? The last thing they really want to see is a mother at a graveside.
Yes.
Because not that they have any feelings, because they have no physical body. So they don't have any emotion. But if they watch a mother stood at a graveside for hours on end, I can guarantee you they'll be thinking, please do get on with your life. You've only got this short time to be alive in your physical body, mum. Now go and enjoy yourself. Go and party. Go and dance. Go and do some things that you enjoy. Because the child won't wish for the mother to spend all of her time in that negative, painful place.
Yes.
And of course, no one would if you understood the reality that you move back to spirit. It's people that don't understand the spiritual concepts are the ones that stand by the graveside all day, because of course they're not there. There's only a physical carbon-based body that's at the graveside.
And I think also perhaps if you're in that deep state of grief, you're not you either, are you?
No, of course.
So, maybe at times like that, somebody even very spiritual could get it because they are so deeply grieving for the loss of their child or their loved one.
Yes, and of course that person in that negative state of fear, probably anger, frustration, are likely to have attachments. So they will end up with spiritual attachments that will continue that feeling and that emotional state and drive them into a deeper, darker place where they become anxious and depressed, and then their own physical health starts to go down. So many people that find themselves in these situations really need to check that they are spiritually clear, because otherwise attachments will be driving these negative feelings and these negative repercussions.
Yes. Well, I'm very sorry, but I hope that has helped a little.
Yes, and of course it's everyone's understanding. Some people feel happy to be going to the grave every day and laying flowers. It gives them a
maybe
sense
what they
of
need.
being. Yes, it may be part of their grief.
Yes.
And they may do that for year after year after year. And if that's their method to go through the coping mechanism, then obviously it works for them.
Yes.
But generally it's people that don't understand the spiritual aspects of what's actually happened.
Passing over,
that obviously find themselves in that situation.
And everybody's grief is personal to them as well. No two people grieve the same, do they?
Of course. So some people get over it the next day. We know someone between us, I'm sure.
Sorry, I mean,
Other people can spend a long time. That was my joke.
It probably depends how sentimental you are, really. I'm definitely sentimental, but I don't think Andy is, really.
Well, no. At least I say no more.
No, maybe we shouldn't. Oh, Catherine, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whoever you're asking for, but please send our condolences and Chen's message, and we hope it helps.
Yes, and also if they would like to reach out to me, if they need some support or emotional help, they can think, Chen, could you help, or could you provide some type of distant help? Then of course we will do what we can.
Yeah. Thank you. So your final question is from Brenda. I think it might be Monday morning, Brenda. I'm not entirely sure. Excuse me. If taking pharmaceutical medications interferes with spiritual protection, what can those of us who need to take one or more do to maintain our protection?
Yes, that's a good question.
Yes.
And I think it is Monday, Brenda.
I think, right, okay.
Yes. Who is, I'm quite fond of, actually.
Yeah.
She's a character.
Yeah, yeah.
She is. Well, it's a very interesting conversation. She's very well versed in life, which of course she's travelled quite well, and she's quite interesting to look at from a spiritual perspective. But of course, people, pharmaceutical drugs obviously get a bad press quite often. And many people think, well, because we're spiritual here, we are spiritual people having a spiritual conversation, doesn't mean we can't say pharma things do work. They help many people. And pharma has a very good side to it that needs to be embraced and be positive. There are aspects, of course, to all things that are not so good. But if people need to take pharmaceutical medication to stay alive, let's say, then of course that is more important than them passing, really. Of course, if that opens up their field, which it will, because it will cause perforations and problems in their energetics, then they just need to employ other techniques to mask that effectively. So doing meditations, thinking about their own spiritual protection, carrying crystals, or the things that you and young Andrew make that obviously protect the field and give your field energy. So there's plenty of things that you can do. You can grid your house with crystals, so you can put crystals in the four corners of the house.
Yes, that's a good idea.
You can sleep on top of very protective symbols like pentagrams, flower of life, those sorts of things that you use in the products that you make. There's a whole host of things that you can do that are very positive and will embrace and protect your energy whilst you're taking something that's causing a slight problem.
Yeah, because all those things raise your vibration, don't they, as well as protect you.
Yes. So again, it is compromise. Everything in your life is a compromise. I mean, if you look at the way you're all living today, most of the food is compromised, nutrition's compromised, even the air that you breathe these days is compromised.
It is around here.
Yes. But of course, there are things that you can do to mitigate the circumstances. There's always mitigation somewhere.
Move house?
Well, you could do that.
Well, we could, but I don't think the problem's been solved. We've had a terrible problem in the town we live in with a sulphur smell. And after about 2 months, 3 months now, I think, for a long time, they finally decided that they found the problem. So it's been a long time coming. Everybody's been keeping their windows shut and doors shut. But yes, I don't want to move. Hopefully they'll sort the problem out now.
Yes, like everything, if enough people get invested in finding the solution, then the solution will be found. The problem these days, of course, my dear, is most people just want to go onto social media and complain. They don't actually want
there's
to
a lot of
anything.
that.
Yes, they're not actually doing anything.
No.
Complaining doesn't fix things. Getting together as groups, connecting to the people in authority and having open and frank conversations is where you get resolution.
Yes.
But of course, you as a society have moved away from that. In the old days, of course, you had elders, didn't you? Every group of people in every town or village or community had an elder, and the elder would converse with other elders, and there was a framework and a hierarchy. So if you had a problem with a place or different group of people, the elders would get together and they'd thrash it out together.
Yes.
And that was the fundamentally quite consciously clever way to do things.
Yes, because they were working for their people, weren't they?
Yes.
Whereas quite often our not councils, but they're not actually working for us, are they? Then more often they're not trying to hide problems so that nobody sues.
Well, yes, the corporations have taken control. So everyone's now frightened about the corporations. And the corporations have got control of government structures and obviously all of the people in parliaments and the people in what should be the voice of the people has been corrupted in most places. But everything is a swing. So when things get bad enough, they start to move back the other way.
Well, there we are, Brenda. Keep popping your pills and up your protection, which will up your vibration. That's about it, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's very well said, my dear. Yes. You could get doing this. Yes.
I learn lots too when we do this. Well, thank you very much, Chen. That actually brings us to the end of our questions. So, but we'll see you again tomorrow.
Yes, only another day.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, you look excited.
Yes, I love these talks. I love to come through and have conversations, and obviously just us laughing together, my dear, changes the vibration of this space.
Yeah.
Change it. And of course, when people watch these things, they see our connection, they see our vibration, and you can sense the energy between two people when you see them laughing together.
Yes.
And this is what we try to promote. Laugh every day, of course, is my
Well, yeah, that is your mantra, isn't it? Your
because
mantra.
it changes your vibration enormously.
Yes.
And laughing should be a daily thing that happens every hour for people.
Yes.
And of course, if you're not laughing, then you need to work out why you're not laughing, and you need to find ways to laugh, or things to watch, or things to do,
Yeah.
or find someone funny around you.
Yeah, or put something funny on TV, or
Yes.
yeah,
Or
listen
even
to
just,
some comedy.
or even just laugh and kid yourself that you're laughing.
Well, there is such a thing as laughing therapy.
Yes.
Because my friend Kay, she has, I don't know, I think she ran the class actually, not just attended it, but she was talking about that. About putting chopstick between your teeth so that it pulls your cheeks out. It tells your brain that you're smiling and laughing, and you release endorphins.
That's a very
How about
unique
that?
method.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you could just laugh, of course.
But yes, but you've got to find something to laugh at, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. So you can normally laugh at yourself. If you're in a group of people
Mm.
and you're all feeling a bit down and dismal, you can find something generally to start to laugh at. And then when one person laughs, it's very contagious. More and more people
Yes.
laugh. Maybe you should start groups of laughter therapy, my dear.
Yes.
You invite people into a room and say, we're all going to spend the day laughing. You'd be very tired by the end of the day, of course, but you'd feel very good.
Yeah.
It'll be natural
Yeah.
drugs. No requirement for cocaine or anything like that. Just laughter therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Yes, that's what we must prescribe.
Yes. Okay, so laugh every day.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you for
Chen.
the opportunity, my dear, and to those people that have put their questions in. We do so like the variation of questions because this is what makes things interesting. If I was just to talk about things, I would be talking about things that I think people are interested in. You, my dear, would do the same. But when people actually put questions into us as a collective group of people, it makes the experience more rounded for everyone
Yes.
because there's all sorts of other people's viewpoints that you have to take into account, as do I, when they
Yes.
ask the questions.
Absolutely. And when it's such a varied amount of questions, there's something there that will pique everybody's interest, isn't there?
Yes, and of course we don't
Learn,
always
learn
know
something from.
all of the answers to everything.
No.
I don't say I'm not the all-knowing.
I know, I was
I'm a
teasing.
spiritual energy myself, but I don't watch everything that happens on the whole planet every day.
No.
Like a news channel. I'm not sat watching the news. I can talk about things that I understand from a spiritual perspective, but I do actually have other things to do, as you know.
Yes, yes. Yes, well, on that note, we'll let you get on with them.
Yes, well, we'll say good day to you all.
And we'll
Thank you.
see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock,
I will look forward
London,
to it, my dear.
UK time,
Yes, I will be there.
on your own Facebook page. Yes,
Yes.
you will be there. Okay, that's lovely. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good day to you.
Thank you, Chen, and thank you, everybody.